We're live. Hey, good morning. It's 9:15. It ain't 5 a.m., but this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. We're a little bit later today. I had to do a retrospective earlier this morning with one of my teams, so that took precedence over doing the show. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show, and I am Greg Mester, Scrum Master and Agile Coach. And here we talk about Scrum and Agile in a practical and tactical way. We talk about bringing value to the customer, but in a way we're not working 60, 80 hours a week, balancing that work and life so that you can get home to your family and friends. Because if you do it right, it doesn't take as much effort and you get stuff done to the customer in a real short time period. And you can have fun while you do it. I know it's scary, but yes, you can have fun. You can have fun at home and you can have fun at work. So this is what we talk about. Today's Thursday. This is our 450th episode of the show. And again, I want to thank everybody because I got 10,000 connections in LinkedIn. I think we're at 13,800 and some odd subscribers to the show. I do have another piece of Coke and Mentos stuff to put out later. I'll probably do that maybe around lunchtime or later tonight so that it's out for the weekend. See what we're doing on that. Did buy some new magnets. So we're going to do some more experimentation with that come this weekend and try some different configurations. And it's all an iteration, try and think what works. Anyway, so what we talk about today? Title was No Managers and Retros. Or Retros, No Manager. And we'll talk about, I really come to the conclusion just slightly, I don't want managers in a retrospective at all. And then the other one, Disruptors and SpaceX. I posted up something the other day with SpaceX building a rocket or spacecraft, space vehicle, however you want to call it. It's not just a rocket anymore. They're trying to make it into a vehicle. And I'll talk about that. So let's talk about no managers and retros, because this is an Agile show, right? So we'll kind of talk about that real quick. So Classic the other day. I was asked about how a team automates their code pushes. Just like, so how you doing it? What's going on? What's your process? And then a manager would quote Classic. From what I understand, this is what they do. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't want to hear from the management from what you understand they do. I'd rather hear from the team on what they do, right? And there's a big difference in hearing from someone who understands versus one actually does the job. There's a huge difference in understanding and what they're doing. And all that does is when managers say that, it shuts down the entire team. The team's not going to say nothing. They're not going to have anything to say. And what I wish I enjoy having managers in there. But when they come in and tell the team how things should happen, they just shut down. It just boom. And now I have to have a conversation with the manager and say, you can't come anymore. I mean, you just shut the whole team down. You told them what they should be doing. So they're not going to tell you what the truth is, right? There's like, that's what we do. Yeah, we do exactly what the manager says. Like, really? And for them, what they understand, if the manager actually did it with them, would be a different story. But most of the managers, most of the times, they don't get their hands dirty in the code. Some do. Some are the best developers and coders and people that with the practice that I've seen, and they really get into. Sometimes they become a little anal on how everybody else does it, and that causes a bunch of other issues. But a lot of managers don't. But when they say, quote, like, oh, we're going to quote, this is what we say in our book, and this is what our SDLC says. I'm like, yeah, I know what the SDLC says, and I know we quoted that. So I'm not going to ask about that because you already drilled that into everybody's head, and I'm assuming they do that. These are questions that aren't part of that book, that part that gets you more into the Agile world and how you're becoming more Agile. So my conclusion, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, feel free to comment, is that do not invite managers, leads, RTEs, anybody outside above the team that's in a hierarchy environment into a retrospective or any kind of thing that you hold, because they're uncontrollable and they like to tell everybody what they're supposed to be doing, and then that shuts everybody down. So that's my 2 cents on that. I think I'm done with that. And unless they can really prove to me otherwise that they can keep their darn mouth shut, nope. I even put it in the agenda. I said, if you're a leader, please be quiet and listen. Right over their heads. Okay, so that was that topic. So the other topic I have is disruptors. So I'm amazed, and someone's coming. People don't understand. So if I had a picture of a tank over there, I worked on the F-18NF. I was on first flight, done all that stuff, built military hardware, done it, right? Factories, regulatory, everything, right? When I watched SpaceX, I was going to say FedEx. When I watched SpaceX, but the FedEx was a disruptor at one point in time too. They disrupted the UPS and the postal service. So at their point, they're not a disruptor anymore. They haven't changed and revolutionized their business. But however, SpaceX is the new one, and Elon Musk is a disruptor. That's what he does. People say he can't do something. You know what? I'm just going to freaking do it, right? They are building spaceships, and I posted up a picture, a snap from the Lab Padre. So I really encourage everybody, just go watch. They just have cameras, and they create a whole industry where they just sit there and watch. It's not like at NASA. They actually got at someone's house a camera or somewhere, maybe a telescope lens, I don't know, and they're just watching what goes on at SpaceX area in Texas. And they're going to take a bottom half of a rocket that they pressure test, put the engines on, and getting everything ready. And they're going to take a cone, and they're going to drop the cone on it. And they have to weld this thing together. So they're in the middle of Texas. It's stainless steel. They're going to assemble this stuff in blowing air environment, no walls, no nothing. People are like, well, they've been doing this outside. No, you don't get it. You don't get it. This is a disruptor. This is changing the way people do business. When you deal with NASA and these other rockets, we need to build, and my son and I were looking at this one for the ULA. It looks like a foam cutout. They created this fancy foam cutout that sits over the rocket. Freaking SpaceX is putting it in the middle of a swamp in Texas. They're going to take the top and weld it to it. It has to get welded, because if it doesn't weld, it'll be another space shuttle disaster and just blow up because of the leakages, right? So it's got to get welded shut. They're going to assemble this. They got a crane that they rented. I believe it's rented. I'm pretty sure most of the cranes I've seen on that site have a rental, like you know, the rental company cranes. When you drive by the highway, you see these giant rental signs. Yeah, that. They haven't bought anything. They don't have this elaborate. I guess at one point they're going to have it, but right now they're just doing giant cranes that lift stuff up and drop it down. So they got a rental crane that they assembled, rolled it out. They're going to grab this giant nose cone, which I showed the picture of the nose cone going down the highway, which is unpaved. Well, it's paved, but it's not like improved with like support and 8 feet thick of concrete under and all that stuff. They're just doing with what they got to deliver an MVP to the customer. They are going to beat everybody's, you know, we're going to go to Mars in 4 years. If they keep going, we're going to Mars. They're going to have people on Mars in 4 years, thanks to SpaceX. I give them the total credit. I don't know what they're going to do, but they're going to do something. Their plan is to get there. And they're going to put all that together in the middle of the thing and launch it and hopefully go 15 kilometers in the sky or whatever the height's supposed to be for their first test. I hope it works. But I'm just amazed at how they're disrupting the industry like everybody else said. We need 10 years of planning, 10 years of laying out foundations and all the support equipment and all that before we can launch a rocket. He's like, no, we don't. We just need a test stand. We just need a stand to keep it above the ground so the fire goes someplace. Other than that, launch the sucker. That's his opinion. And apparently they're doing it. So I just want to watch it. It is a true example of what a disruptor is. Because if you really pay attention to how everybody else is doing it, what everybody else is doing, how often they're launching and all that, that guy is launching a rocket every I mean, his goal was to have like, I don't know, 48 launches in a year. So you think about it, that's his goal next year. He's like, we got to get better at this because we want to launch like 48 rockets a year or some crazy number. I don't quote me on that. That's like 4 a month. So you need reusability. So we talked about that yesterday. But anyway, I just saw, I'm like, he's actually going to weld that sucker. I was just impressed. And I wanted to share that as an example of what a true disruptor is. The industry says we do this. And now this is with the Agile, and this is your competition. If I was in charge of those other companies, I'd be like, oh crap. We're going to get our butts handed to us because they're going to produce and put stuff on the market. They're going to steal all our rocket business because we haven't got anything off the ground. We take 5 years to create a new rocket design. He's coming up with one every couple months. That's a disruptor. This is what Agile's about. He's using Agile practices to do this, to build freaking rockets. And we're talking about software. He's designing software, hardware, explosives, and launching into the sky and tracking and telemetry and all this stuff. And when we talk about, I don't know how I get more than one team work together, we talk about safe. Like, I've done this before too. People ask me, what have you done? Like, I, in less than a year, redesigned a tank, new computers, new software, new hardware, new interfaces, even did a remote thing. And there, I don't know, just my software. I created a different kind, my personal, just hardware, software, interfaces, internet, remote access, all within a year. It can be done. And those are the disruptors. And I'll give you an example. When I did that, my company made billions of dollars because we got the contract. Don't tell anybody. But you know what? They had something to show to the customer. And that's what SpaceX is going to do. They're going to show NASA that we can launch this giant rocket that we built there and deliver payloads. And it's reusable. So the costs are going to go down. They're changing the market. But that's what Agile is about. Rapid trying. And once you get in there, man, you're just going to, just like that book says. It's like this book. The art of doing twice the work in half the time. I think he's doing it a lot less than half the time. Anyway, you have a good Thursday. Enjoy your day. Tomorrow we'll talk about some other things. Tomorrow's Fortune Cookie Friday, so we'll enjoy that. I had fun last night at the IIBA meeting. It was a good one. I did record it. I will cut out the parts that I talked about so that other people aren't involved in the recording and everything like that. But it was a good time to have a nice, quick little half-hour presentation. It worked out good. All right. Take care. Thumbs up. Ring the little bell so you get posts when we set up the Cocamento stuff and other things that we're going to be doing and more experimentation. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy, and see you tomorrow. Bye.